Hi everyone, I am joined by the fantastic Head of Operations at Charles Jeffrey, Sam Thompson.
Hello.
Hello. That was quite an amazing intro, I like that a lot. We're going to be talking about Stefan Cooke Spring Summer 20. Super duper exciting because it was their first standalone show outside of Fashion East. I'm going to try and be as impartial as possible, but I have a penchant for Stefan Cooke, and I know that Sam does also, as he's wearing it here. But the show was beautiful. These two have really gone just elevated, and I feel like I say this every time I talk about Stefan Cooke, but it's just like a step up, while still paying homage to the previous collections and still paying homage to what we love so much about the brand. So all the kind of classics of Stefan, the cut-out argyle knits, the wonderful trompe-l'oeil, the beautiful bags. We've previously seen trompe-l'oeil bags in kind of clear plastic, and these were reimagined leather ones with double banded straps, and a beautiful set of hanging cloths. And the idea behind all of this that I'm waffling on about is kind of the performance. And I see the ticket here has got Drama Major on it with a lovely 80s blue eye. And the two had been to New York. We're kind of following what's the phrase I'm looking for? Broadway theatre scene. Thank you. Following the Broadway theatre scene and looking at all these costumes and the idea of costume and how you present yourself. And when you're making a costume backstage, that element of waiting in the wings, there's so many wonderful moments from rehearsals to production that the two are trying to capture. And so that kind of comes through in these wonderful bags, which are, I need a slightly more glamorous bag, so I've taken a bag that I found in secondhand and then I've put big dramatic handles on it. Or there's wonderful tight trousers with trompe-l'oeil dresses printed on them, and these dresses are all kind of Fantasia, Cinderella 20th century dresses, and so those are printed, and we've got their wonderful t-shirts printed with shears over the top, and it's about that duality as well as having something really luxurious and costumey and flamboyant, but actually on something ultimately incredibly wearable and will be commercial in the end of the day. But it's the precision that I really want to talk to you about, Sam, because I can wax lyrical about how beautiful it looked and how wonderful the cuts were, but we were talking before the camera started about their craft and how brilliantly it's made, and I think that's one of the Stefan.
It's one of those things that they have literally done since the beginning. It came out the first season they did at Fashion East, which is almost usually sort of an extension of, if they've come from an MA, it can often look like that. But with Stefan, it was just you went up to the pieces afterwards, and I was in the showrooms with them, and you just thought this feels and looks like a luxury brand already, and that was their first season. And every single season after that, it's their third season now, as you say, has been a step up in terms of that craft, and the detailing and the attention to detail is just really, really clever. And you were talking about trompe-l'oeil, and they've always done, I guess, trompe-l'oeil in its most literal interpretation, i.e. sort of the imagery of something, but they also explore these trompe-l'oeil effects using texture as well. This season they did it in the tulle lace, which I think it was a reference to the layers of lace that are placed to protect all of the theatre costumes, once the theatre costumes are in archival, that you might find in the Met. And I guess I know that Jake and Stefan are both really sort of avid second-hand shoppers.
Yes.
And I guess it's looking at, they look a lot at, through trompe-l'oeil and through these textures and textiles, at sort of finding a way of reinterpreting the spirit of the clothing in a way, and you get that from being at their shows. There is something sort of semi-spiritual about them.
Yeah, for sure. There's also it's interesting that you mentioned trompe-l'oeil, because I almost feel like, if we're trying to think of metaphorical versions of that phrase, that using calico, which is kind of a really cheap, really cheap fabric actually, to make these beautiful jackets, like kind of cinched, is a kind of, if we think of trompe-l'oeil as a little bit of a fakery, I quite like that there's this cheap fabric but manufactured in such an elegant, elevated way that it's a little bit of a trick.
Yeah, these jackets with these sort of corsets just almost put into them, the corsets from the back of a theatrical dress, then layered on the front. It was this, again, the sort of fakery of this dress, but it was then reinterpreted as a jacket.
Yeah. I love it. I think it's absolutely beautiful, and I do think that their colour choices as well were really wonderful and slightly effeminate. But I mean that in the most wonderful, best way. And also, I think the Broadway theatre scene does tend to err on the side of effeminate, so that's not too far afield. But beautiful headbands and pinks clashing with reds and clashing with a really kind of tealy turquoise. It's just really rich and wonderful, and added to this whole men in tights element that I thought was really infectious.
And they're already working with, you know, really interesting collaborators as well. In I think it's Thomas Kent, who's doing the glasses for them. Yep, which I saw in Dover Street Market, and they're amazing. They're sort of all these resin, or looks like resin glasses with all these sort of shavings of metal inside them.
Yeah.
And then I know that they're working with this guy Marco Bakovic, because we also worked with him on our most recent show, and he makes the most amazing sort of like Frankenstein shoes. And he did these beautiful, again, corseted shoes for this collection, I think, with Stefan. So I guess sort of slightly coming from working with Charles, but having collaborators on board who are capable of doing stuff like that is another amazing thing to have at this stage of a business, because it just shows how far it shows that you have the ability to work with other people and to deliver your aesthetic through the sort of work and craftsmanship of another person. And that's something that is a skill that then, you know, as you progress through your career, becomes an ability to reinterpret, say, the work of another designer. You know, if you go on to take on a major house. And so it's a really important skill, I think, for them to be evidencing at this point.
Yeah, there's a real confidence with those two, which is kind of dumbfounding for a first show outside of Fashion East. So I think you can tell that we liked it. Just a bit. So I'll end it there before we get too gushy. Sam, thank you so much for taking part and coming in the car with me. And congratulations, Stefan and Jake, if you are watching. We are very thrilled to have seen the show. You guys, please do subscribe. There's lots more live reviews to come, so make sure you are subscribed to get notifications. And please do visit SHOWstudio so you can see all the amazing clothes we've just been talking about. See you guys very soon.